it is. If you watch my last two videos, which you should, I think they're pretty good, you probably aren't surprised. Today, continuing the month of spooks, we're talking about Over the Garden Wall. Now originally, I was going to save this video for November, because of the fall theme, I guess. But the fact that there's literally a Halloween in it, and it has a great spook factor, it meant that the release date had to be pushed up. So without further ado, let's get into this review. Bars. Over the Garden Wall was a CM miniseries created by Patrick McHale, who previously worked on Flapjack and Adventure Time. So a pretty good resume. Originally, this show was gonna be 3 seasons, but due to the story and quality not fitting the format, it was chopped down to 18 episodes. Then, due to scheduling within people who worked on the show, 10. They really just wanted to give us the smallest taste of perfection possible. The series aired from November 3rd, 2014 to November 7th, 2014, and was considered a masterpiece by critics and fans alike, and won 2 Emmys in Outstanding Animated Programming and Outstanding Individual Achievement. It's pretty good for 10 episodes. 2 Emmys? It's quality. But they couldn't get that Teen Choice Award? Lily Singh got a Teen Choice Award. So, what does that really say about this Over the Garden Wall show that everyone raves about, huh? The series follows 2 half-brothers, Wirt and Greg, who are lost in the woods. We have no clue how they got there, and neither do they. And from that moment onward, we go through a beautiful transformative experience. Now, we'll get into the characters later, but for the next few minutes, I'm gonna just talk about this show as a whole. First off, do I even have to say it? You beautiful blind bastards. This show is gorgeous. Now, it's no secret that fall is the most beautiful of the seasons. The leaves changing, them falling, creating this nice just look of coolness and just all around peace and serenity. And this show captures every aspect of it. I mean, look at these frames. Everyone is so vibrant and detailed that it brings a tear to my eye. And when the hope is gradually lost throughout the show, around episode, I think 9, 8, winter's cold, dry hands move in as we go from a vibrant warm to a cold blue and black. It's kind of genius. And to add to the beautiful scenery, we get this amazing music that drives in every emotion that you're just supposed to feel. And the lyrical songs are sung so soothingly. Songs like Patient as the Night is genuinely detoxifying. I honestly can't put into words how much I appreciate the art and music of this show. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna move on. Now, if there's anything that feels like a character but isn't, it's the unknown or the woods. Now, this about to be a beast of a segment, because I got a lot to say about the mysterious yet familiar land of the unknown. And what I mean by familiar yet mysterious is most of us have, or at one point or another, I think we've been in the woods, whether with friends, camping, or just to take a leak. Most of us know what it's like being in the woods. But beyond that, the locations within the woods are all unique. From the pumpkin town, to the tavern, to the various houses, Adelaide's, the woodsman's, and aunties. Every location has unique characters and, again, a sense of familiarity. One familiarity is that of fairy tales. These houses in the woods and the boys stumbling upon them give off Hansel and Gretel vibes. 2 kids lost in the woods coming across a random, character. 2 of which, one of which turns out to be evil. The other one, evil but possessed, so I'm gonna let it slide. But then there's also the more colorful places, the mansion, the town, and the ferry. And hell, even though it's not colorful, it has colorful characters, so let's throw in the tavern. In them, they have their own characters, and they each add character development, change, realization, and it has a distinct tone. The solemn school day, the late night blues of the tavern, the mysterious mansion, the celebratory town, the ferry. I can't think of an adjective, but, it's a ferry, so They each, I don't know, they don't each represent something, but they each add something to the show that further pushes the characters in the right direction of their development. For example, the school makes Wirt less of a pushover and sways Beatrice's feelings towards the boys. The tavern establishes Wirt as the pilgrim, the hero trying to get home. The mansion reveals more about Beatrice and Wirt's backstory. The ferry gives Wirt a little more confidence and has Beatrice second guessing what she's really doing. And the town of Pottstown, pretty simple, it just tells us something really isn't right. Each location in the unknown has its own personality. And, that's just what I'm really saying, dog. Let's move on. And now we get into the real meat and ranch dressing of this video. The symbolism of characters. Starting with the symbolism, the series has been out for almost 6 years, so I'm sure you all know that the journey is essentially Wirt and Greg dying. And for those who didn't know that, are you good? It's pretty obvious, but I'll let it slide. Right from the start, you don't catch on your first run through of the show, but you see Greg and Wirt underwater drowning. And from there on out, we kind of just go crazy. For starters, the fall to winter, they're the last seasons of the year representing the ending of life. The river in the ferry episode represents the River of Styx, and in mythology, you need 2 coins to ride the River of Styx, which Greg gets at the end of the mansion episode. The lantern that the woodsman keeps lit is representative of blind hope. And lastly, this isn't really symbolism, but the quote from the pumpkin at the end of the first episode, the second episode, alludes to the fact that they are in the afterlife.
And what about you? You sure you want to leave?
Me? Yes.
Oh well, you'll join us someday.
And these are just the major ones that I enjoy / noticed. I know there are so more, and if you think there are any other big ones, put them in the comments below. Now it's time for the latter of the two, the characters. Now I'm only doing the big 5, Wirt, Greg, Beatrice, and the woodsman. Oh, and the beast. Sorry, my grammar was not good in that sentence. And we're going to start with Beatrice. Beatrice is great. She's a cynical softie who can't help but become attached to the boys. Originally a human who turned her family into birds, Beatrice only gets attached to Greg and Wirt for her own gain, to become human again. Now usually with these animals' sidekicks, they're either comic relief or nice little creatures who just want to help you out. And Beatrice is neither. She starts out not necessarily rude, but kind of, if you know what I mean. She really just wants the boys to get to Adelaide as fast as they can, so she can save the fam. Which, in its own way, it's pretty noble or nice, but on the other side, she's sacrificing 2 innocent kids who are just trying to get home. So, that's up to you on whether you side with her or not. Personally, I understand why she's doing it, but on the same side, I'm kind of against it. So, and for the first, I would say 2.5 episodes, she's okay with giving them to Adelaide, until she makes the fatal flaw that pretty much every character makes when they're going to sacrifice the main character. She gets too close and ends up liking the boys. Now, like I said, it's not original, it's not unpredictable, but it is organic, and the series goes about it nicely to the point where it actually really hurts when they're betrayed. Now, she does go and get some redemption, a sad goodbye, and a happy ending. So it all works out. Like I said earlier, the woodsman is a character driven by blind hope. The hope is that his daughter's soul is kept in the lantern, and because he so desperately misses her, he's just believes the beast when he tells him to keep the lantern lit to keep her soul alive. Now obviously this turns out not to be true, and it's extremely depressing. And what makes it even worse is that he doesn't even know what the trees are made out of until he sees Greg literally turning into one. So that just salt to the wound, The woodsman, he's not necessarily a complex guy. He's just a desperate man trying to keep his daughter alive. And, keeping Greg and Wirt away from the beast. Now, obviously he doesn't have as much common sense as Wirt, because, you know, Wirt is just like, okay, that's stupid. But sometimes blind hope can do that to you. So, understandable. He gets a pass. On to Greg. On a way lighter note, we got Gregory. Greg is mostly the childish comic relief who breaks up the spookiness, sadness, tension of the situations throughout the show. Now, Greg is mostly just goofing off and renaming his frog, Jason Thunderburker. He's kinda selfish. You know, it's excused because he is a child. He gets distracted, he doesn't see the severity of the situation, and he commonly causes some form of trouble or stalls the journey, like going to the schoolhouse, leading the monster with the candy trail, and throwing away the 2 cents so they have to sneak onto the ferry. But he does have some good common sense, like commanding the spirit and the girl to leave, and by the end, he pulls a pretty selfless act. After such a bizarre and confusing dream episode, don't get me wrong, it's good and it's hilarious. I like how it mimics the 30s cartoon style. But moving on, he decides to take Wirt's place and go with the Beast. This kind of brings him full circle and in some ways allows Greg to grow up. He even returns the rock he stole, which kind of puts an end to the rock facts, which is bittersweet to say the least, but it was the right thing to do. And now there's Wirt, who I argue is the real main character. He has the most development, he's technically the leader, and he makes a lot of the big boy decisions. At the beginning, Wirt, I don't know if I would say unlikable, but he's definitely not the favorite. He's got no confidence, he's quite morbid or depressing, and he sees himself as a loser, even though, you know, he's not. I mean, I can't be the only one who expected Jason Thunderburker to be this tall jock, instead of this nasally guy who makes Wirt look like Danny DeVito, the perfect human. He also makes it look like everyone hates him, but whenever people see him, they welcome him and are super nice. So, I don't get it personally, but maybe some people, you know, they're just like that, and that's fine. Different strokes for different folks. But the thing that bothers me most about him is the way he treats Greg. Now, by no means is he brutally mean. He's not like, you know, an evil stepbrother, stepsister kind of thing. But he clearly resents him a little bit because of his stepdad. And he blames him for everything that goes wrong until the very end. But after the tavern, Wirt kind of changes. His confidence grows, he's not as jittery, he's way nicer to Greg and Beatrice, and is just a whole lot braver. And it's actually when Beatrice betrays them when he reverts back to his original Wirtness and blames Greg again, which causes Greg to go with the Beast. However, at the very end, my man comes through, saves Greg, and exposes the Beast with the power of common sense. Speaking of the Beast, what a good segue, Nate. Thanks, Nate. You're welcome, Nate. The Beast is like Darth Vader in A New Hope. Super intimidating, but rarely seen, and he's only seen like 3 times with the main characters. But unlike Darth Vader, the Beast is a pathetic lame ass. He's the most shallow dude in the show, and he has all bark and no bite. He's got a deep voice, a persuasive persona, and even a henchman. But at the end of it all, he's just a guy made out of faces who doesn't even lift. Now, obviously, the Beast is a devil ripoff. I mean, he was actually going to be the devil until, you know, religion got in the way. You know how some people are. You know, he still holds a lot of similarities. Power over the hopeless, persuasive, cunning, smart. There's so much to say about the Beast, but, you know, I'm pretty sure the video's getting pretty lengthy already, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Now, if I'm being real with you guys, I didn't even watch Over the Garden Wall until earlier this year because of Roundtables video's top 25 best cartoons of the 2010s. I highly suggest it if you want to find some quality tunes and you're, you know, trying to find out where to start. But I immediately fell in love with it. I mean, I've watched it through 4 times since February. From the beautiful art and music to the amazing characters. This might be the best thing Cartoon Network has ever produced. And on that hot take, I'ma end the video. Like, subscribe, share, only if you enjoyed though. I think a nice Halloween movie's up next, but I don't know which one. I'm either going with Coraline, Monster House, or Halloween Town. But Monster House and Coraline, I don't think they're on streaming services, so kinda leaning towards Halloween Town. So stick around, and remember to look both ways when you cross the street.